All right, today I'm going to explain how to do lesson 10.01 B independent practice, which basically we're going to work with what is called supplementary angles. And what are supplementary angles? Supplementary angles are two angles that when you add it up is equal to 180. Okay, so you can see here, see, I have these two angles here. If you add them up, is 180. That's why we call these two angles supplementary. Okay, any two angles that add up to 180, like the ones you see down here, okay, those will also be called supplementary. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work with two angles, and when you add them up, it should be 180. So here I'm showing you question number 3. You can see I have two angles. Both angles are part of a straight angle that is 180. I know one of the angles, 25.84, how much I need to add to this angle so I can get 180. So that's what the way we're going to do it. Well, I'm going to show how to do it. Is I'm going to take 180. That's how much is that's what supplementary means. And I'm going to subtract the angle that I already know, which is 25.84. And you can see that my answer here will be 154.16. Okay, it's that simple. Just keep in mind that two angles that add up to 180, they're also known as supplementary. Let's go to the next problem. Here's question number 4, same idea. I have two angles that are supplementary, which means that the two angles together add up to 180. I know one of the angles, 55.04. How much has to be the other angle? When you add those two together, you get 180. So you go to the calculator, you're going to do 180 minus 55.04, and you can see that the other angle is going to be 124.96. Let's do the next problem. The next question I'm going to show you is problem number 1. And basically, as you can see in the picture here, I took a picture, a screenshot. As you can see the picture here, we have a straight angle, which is the angle DEJ. See, that's 180 degrees. That's all of this. And you can see there's three angles inside of the straight angle, these three smaller angles. They gave you the angle GEC. Now, angle GEC is the following. It's going to be GEC. So they gave you this angle here, okay? And they tell you that that angle is 31 degrees. So this is 31, okay? What they're asking you is how much has to be all of the rest, so all of this, how much has to be the rest, so you get supplementary angles. So again, you're going to do the same thing like we did before. You're going to take your calculator. You're going to do 180 minus 31. And you can see it's 149 degrees. So everything I shaded in green is 149. And because this is a multiple choice, you're going to find the answer. Okay, let's go and do the next problem. Now, the next problem, there's not going to be pictures. So as you can see here, there's no pictures like in the previous problem. However, you're going to see the keyword supplementary. And every time you're working or you read that word, supplementary, it means you are working with angles that add up to 180. So the angle that they gave you, the measure of the angle they gave you is 40 degrees. How much is going to be the supplementary angle of 40 degrees? So you're going to do the same thing you have done before. 180 minus, because supplementary angles is always 180. That's what I started with, 180 minus 40. So how much you add to the 40? So you get 180. That will be 140 degrees. Okay. Now, the last two problems I'm going to show you in the video is you're going to have to use algebra. You're going to have to set up an equation. So let's go to that problem. So here's question number 5. Okay. So as you can see, I took a screenshot, so I'm going to be writing. So as you can see up here, they gave you two angles right there. They're not numerical. They wrote it with algebraic expression. And basically what that is saying is that the angle, let me highlight it, the angle DEH, which is this one here, DEH, okay? So I highlighted in green, or if you look, is shaded in blue. So this angle here is 7x, and the angle in shaded in red, which is HEF, okay, is 11x plus 72. Now, what do we know about supplementary angles? See, it's a straight, they told you that FED, the purple line, is a straight angle. That means 180. So that means that these two angles, the 11x plus 72 and 7x, if you add them, it's going to be equal to 180. So what you're going to do is add the x's with the x's. So 11x plus 7x is 18x. And then you're supposed to add the numbers with the numbers. So I have 72, but there's no number with a 7x. So that 72, I'm going to put a part of the 18x. See, I added 11x with 7x, 18x, the numbers with the numbers. I only had 72. And what you have here is going to be equal to 180. And I got what is called a two-step equation. You set up a two-step equation. In quarter number 2, we learn how to solve two-step equation. So first step, undo any addition or subtraction. As you can see here, I'm adding 72. What's the opposite of adding 72? Oh, that's going to be subtracting 72. So you're going to subtract 72 on both sides of the equation, or just do 180 minus 72. Get your calculator. So 180 minus 72. And you can see I got 108. So this here is 108. The 72s are gone, and you still have the 18x. And we did the first step. Two-step equation means that you need 2 steps to find the value of x, okay? So I did the first step. Second step, now I'm gonna wanna get rid of the 18, which is multiplying. What's the opposite of multiplying by 18? We're gonna divide by 18. So I'm gonna divide, that's what the fraction bar means, divide by 18. Whatever you do on one side, you do it in the other. The 18s are gone, and you're going to have x equal, and again, get the calculator, x equal 108 divided by 18. And you can see I got 6. So I found the value of x. Now, why do I need the value of x? Because if you look at the angles have x, okay? So that's what I need to find the value of x. Now down here, they told me to find the angle HEF. HEF is the angle shaded in red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this x here. I'm going to plug in or replace it with 6. So I'm going to take my calculator again. And I'm going to write 11x plus 72, but I need to replace this x with an empty parentheses, which is what I'm doing right now. And inside the parentheses, I'm gonna write 6, which is the value of the x. And you can see that the angle shaded in red here is gonna be 138 degrees. Okay, and that's how you solve for x with a two-step equation, and that will help you find the angle. they're asking you. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here's the last problem, problem number 6. Same idea. They gave me two angles that are supplementary, which means that they are equal to 180 when you add them up. Or if you look at the picture, you can see that these two angles are on a straight angle. Straight angle means 180 degrees. Okay. And they gave you the angle HED. HED will be this angle. HED is this angle here that I'm shading in yellow. Or you can see here it's already shaded in blue. So the angle shaded in blue is 15x plus 34. And angle FEH, which is shaded in red, is 7x plus 14. And what do I know about these two angles? They add up to 180. That's why what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add these two angles, what I wrote in blue. And I'm going to add the x's with the x's. So 7x plus 15x is 22x. And then I'm going to add the 14 with the 34. So that's going to be plus 48. And the two angles together is equal 180. Okay? And again, I set up a two-step equation. And now I'm going to follow the two steps. Step number 1, do the opposite of any addition or subtraction. As you can see here, I'm adding 48. What's the opposite of adding 48? We're going to subtract 48. I'm going to subtract 48 on both sides of the equation. Or what you can do is just subtract 180 minus 48. Let's get the calculator. Let me clear all of this. And in my calculator, I'm going to do 180 minus 48. And you can see I got 132. Okay. And 132 is equal, the 48 years are gone, equal to the 22x that I still have left. Now I'm going to do my second step. What is my second step? I'm going to take the 22 that is multiplying, and I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying by 22. What is the opposite of multiplying by 22? We're going to divide by 22. Okay. And the 22s are gone. And then x equal, and now take your calculator once again, and now do 132 divided by 22. And you can see it's equal to 6. Okay. Now we found, like I mentioned in the previous problem, we found the x because each of these angles have x. Now they asked me to find the angle, read the question down here, FEH, which is the angle shaded in red here. Okay, so that means I'm going to take the 6 for the x, and I'm going to replace the x here with 6. And taking my calculator again, look what I do in my calculator. The angle in red is 7x plus 14. But I'm going to replace this x with an empty parentheses, okay? And put in the parentheses the 6, the value of the x. And you can see the angle will be 56 degrees, okay? And that is how you work this lesson.